This is Every Widow Thing.
Hey guys, Whitney here from Every Widow Thing.
Hi, it's Keira.
Hey, it's Holly.
And we are recording our 50th episode.
Woo!
Woo! Yay!
Yes.
We already popped the champagne, so unfortunately you can't hear that. Oh, Jack is excited. We are recording in my home studio, aka dining room table. So you may hear some life activity, but that's just my dog or my kids. But yeah, we have now passed the 2-year mark. So we're into year 3 of Every Widow Thing.
I can't believe it's been 2 years.
Yeah, it's been great.
It's flown by. I know. I think that our listeners would love to hear what's been going on in our lives because it has been a hot minute since we recorded together. We haven't even addressed the awesome meet and greet
Oh, yeah.
that we had
That's true.
with our listeners.
Thank you
month or
to
two
everyone that came. It was so much fun and so rewarding to meet everyone. And
Yeah, it felt, I loved to put faces with the names that I see on social media, you know, and then to just sit down and get to hear your stories because you have heard our stories. It was really interesting and inspiring. But
It was a great afternoon
it was
at the
perfect.
Me-Eyed Cat. And I agree. It was just so nice to bring everyone together. And a lot of the people that showed up are earlier on in the journey, you know, like year 2, year 3. And it just felt really good for us to kind of be there. We've been widowed a lot longer and we've kind of been through a lot of phases of grief and of life since losing our spouses, and just being able to support kind of the newer widows that showed up.
I think you told me, Keira, that it was the first time that you felt like, oh, we really are making a difference. Like you knew in your head that we were, but actually getting to talk to people face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, meeting people in person just is very different from speaking into a microphone.
Right.
So, and, you know, having that sort of immediate feedback, like, hey, you know, your podcast has really helped me. And how did you tackle this? And I'm going through this exact thing that you discussed and, you know, on the podcast. And it's been like a great inspiration to me. And that felt great.
Yeah, I thought it was fun to watch the listeners interact with each other too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't just us sitting at a table and talking to just the group. Everybody was mingling and we had some men there, which I loved.
Yeah, we had some widowers in the house.
Their perspective. Yeah.
And then we had some fellow bar mates who joined in.
didn't he email you?
Other people on the patio that enjoyed what we were doing and was taking pictures and trying to
I can't remember. Did he send you a picture?
Maybe he was flirting with Whitney.
For sure.
He was digging our hats because we were all wearing our EWT hats. And for some reason, and by the way, this isn't the first time I heard this. People read it, and what do they think the hats say, Holly?
I can't remember.
Sluts.
Oh, that's right.
I can't remember.
It says EWT.
They thought we were wearing hats that said sluts. And I was like, it depends on the day. You know?
And we're like, it's the opposite of sluts.
Tonight,
it's widows.
I'm a widow. Right.
How does EWT translate as slut?
It's the writing.
It's the font. That's a little far-fetched.
I'm not sure what's going on in these people's minds.
They were drinking too much.
Our hats are super cute. And we looked super cute at the bar and we had a really good time. And the turnout was great. And it just kind of was inspiring to think of like bigger events and more events that we could have.
Yeah.
Well, and also one listener did comment that she wished we'd let everyone know sooner and she actually would have came to Austin.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do that.
It's hard to schedule, like, especially since Hunter died. And I've said this before, I don't like to plan too far in advance now, which is weird.
Because you say yes and then you end up wanting to say no.
Well, that. But also, I guess there's some PTSD
That's just our age.
something. Oh,
it's just getting old.
Maybe so. But I feel like it was because I had a lot of plans and then they all fell through, you know, when Hunter died. So
I think that's a trauma response for sure.
I think so too.
I was just thinking even about this summer, like plans that I have. And I was catastrophizing a little bit, like, well, what if this and what if that? And, you know, with all the travel, the negative travel news and things. And then I flipped the script on myself on the way over here. And I was like, what if it all works out? And we all have wonderful, because my kids are traveling and Brendan and I are traveling, and I was just like, what if it all goes great?
Our brains are wired to protect. So you think about what could go wrong. But yeah, flipping the script and going, what if everything works out? What if it's better than you imagine?
And speaking of, as we speak, I keep checking my phone because Zach is driving back from Colorado, and that's like scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Like it's about 16 hours.
Yeah,
well, when I'm driving, I keep checking his speed on the.
Oh, hilarious.
Don't do that.
That will torture you.
I have one child that's such a lead foot. I mean, I just can't even look at that.
Well,
app.
I mean, it scared me because I saw him like going into New Mexico. Well, everyone
knows New Mexico, you can't speed.
You get tickets.
I did not know that.
Yes,
Is that for real?
Yes,
Everyone knows New Mexico. I'm like, no. What? The land of enchantment?
Well, now
all I
you
know about
know.
New Mexico
Now
is for Breaking
you know.
Bad. So
Oh shit.
that's all I got. There's meth.
Don't speed going through New Mexico.
Don't
Y'all
speed.
didn't know
Speed
that?
traps. Apparently, there's meth and speed traps.
It's speed traps. I got one time, Toby and I were driving to New Mexico. He got a ticket, and I said, let me drive. And then I got a ticket.
I got a new car. One of the features is that when I put it on cruise control, it doesn't stay at like if I put it on 80 for cruise control, right? If the speed limit changes, it goes down to the new speed limit. So it was kind of nice because then I'm not going to get a ticket.
You could go to New Mexico.
I think I'll drive
would do just
through New
fine.
Mexico.
Fly through.
Yeah,
No problem.
and it'll be no problem.
Okay.
I never use cruise control. I don't know what that is. It's a control thing, I guess.
You want to be in
that
control.
I have. I never use it. I've tried it once or tried it twice. It freaks me out. I like to have my foot on the thing. Like I want to be doing it.
Right. We know you want to be doing it.
I want to be.
That's
like,
what he said.
I don't know. I just think it's freaky. And I have also been in a Waymo and I had no problems with that. And I know this is the wave of the future and this is where we're going with it. But I do not like cruise control. It's just like, maybe we should
not
get
gonna
back
cut
to
it out.
Okay,
widow stuff.
Well, first of all, I want to talk about what has been going on in everyone's lives. And you two had two monumental
Graduations.
moments.
Oh, moments.
Yeah.
We had, big milestones. Two of us had, since our husbands passed, our first born children graduate from college,
Yeah. Crazy.
which is a big, big deal. And we're super proud of Aislinn and Gabe for graduating
So proud.
from college. So, and it was the same weekend. It was last weekend for me at University of Texas and for Holly at TCU. But yeah, lots of mixed emotions. I mean, for the most part, it was a very joyous and fun weekend for us. Just really proud of Aislinn and all the hard work she's put in. And some family was able to come in. We had a party at the house and there were two graduations. One was for her business degree. The smaller, it wasn't that small, but she got to walk across and they announced her name. And then the larger University of Texas, which was in the stadium, which was super fun. And I mean, there were fireworks and Taylor Sheridan spoke and
Which I have to ask, because I love Taylor Sheridan. For those of you who don't know, he is the creator of Landman
and
Yellowstone and all of the prequels to Yellowstone, 19 whatever,
something or other,
18
and
something.
1889.
How was he?
He was great. And I was just having this conversation last night at with my Mahjong group. One of the other
Were y'all
moms had a
Xeroxing
graduate
notes?
also. And she, it was like short. It was witty. He didn't actually attend UT. He was rejected.
I love
Oh, that's
I think
funny.
he went to OU actually.
I think he did.
That's funny.
So he was self-deprecating and super relaxed, and it was great. I mean, he talked about how he was sort of unconventional, not a good student, like school wasn't really his thing.
Yeah.
Which I love those stories because, no path is the only path.
I would love to hear, I'd love my boys to hear his speech.
I'm sure it's
on
on the internet somewhere, for sure.
Yeah.
on the interwebs. Kira, I'm going to out you. And if you don't want to talk about it, I can edit it out. But you had texted us and said you had been crying all the day before between.
Oh, not the whole day. I had a meltdown moment. I didn't cry the whole day. That sounds exhausting. I think it was after the business school graduation. We were having a party at the house, but no one had arrived yet. I think that's when. And Aislinn came and we opened up champagne. And I'm getting choked up now. I was trying to make some kind of mom speech, about how proud I was and how, she has such a bright future and how and then I started to think well, what would Frank say? And, and I wanted to convey to her and, for those of you who have lost your spouse and have children, there are many, many moments like this, right? Where you're trying to incorporate their parent, their other parent, their father within the moment. And I just was at a loss. I kind of got really choked up.
That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
And the kids were super sweet. My son came home the night before she graduated. He came home from UVA with my parents who live in Virginia. They all flew in that night before. So anyway, they were just everyone was there and I just kind of couldn't get the words out. And I think that spoke volumes to Aislinn anyway. That even though we've come really far and Brendan, of course, was involved in all the festivities and he was there. I have a new partner. That doesn't mean that I don't miss their father.
Right.
Especially in these moments where he would just be over the moon at her, graduation. Both of his parents were educators. And
did they get to come down, his parents?
No, his mom can't travel. She has MS.
Oh, that's right.
But they watched it live.
Oh, good.
From New Jersey, the ceremony. And I sent the video of Aislinn walking to all them. And then we Zoomed with them the following day on Mother's Day.
That's nice.
So that side of the family was all included, but they were unable to travel for the festivities. But yeah, and it was wonderful. What about you, Holly? How was Gabe's?
It was great. It was, I was very good about setting my boundaries. I wanted, just basically to take care of myself and Zach and make sure Gabe had it, how he wanted. And so my cousin, I'm so grateful for, brought my mom and my sister and brother-in-law were there and Gabe's girlfriend and her dad were there. And
that's sweet.
It was so the night I got there Friday night and Gabe and Zach and I had dinner. I wanted to get him something special for graduation that he would remember. And Toby collected watches. So I was like, I'm going to get him a really nice watch. But I was looking at watches and I was like, oh my God, I kept going back to this one. And he absolutely loved it. And I kind of wrote in the card, my little note. And then I wrote something about Toby and how he collected watches and all that. So that was special. And then, so the day of the graduation was great. The ceremony was beautiful. It was,
And you guys just had the one ceremony, and then did he get to walk the stage?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a smaller school.
It's smaller, and they had 3 undergrad graduations that day. So it was just
split. They kind of split it up.
Maybe just under 1,000 students.
Okay.
It was really cool. And they had the purple and white, streamer things go off at the end and no one had their cameras ready. And I was like, note to anyone graduating next year, have your camera ready after they sing the
They should have told you that.
I don't know.
It was crazy. The McCombs ceremony was quite long, but they were allowed to sit with their friends. And so it wasn't alphabetical.
Oh, that's nice.
And so you're waiting for your kid to walk, but you don't know. And they were reading the names really quickly. And so I'm texting her from our seats, who's going before you? And she's like, oh, my friend Camille is going before me. And she has a super long last name. It was Camille something slash something slash something slash something.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as that girl walked, I like hit record and I somehow caught Aislinn.
Oh, wow.
That you're holding your
really
phone up
hard.
for like 20 minutes
Right.
because you think,
Yeah.
oh, maybe that brunette with long hair is mine down there. Like,
Well, that's why
with
did
that
your
many
kids
people.
not put things on their caps so that
mine
you could
did
see
not.
them?
And I would recommend that.
I don't
Mine
think
did
boys
not.
do that
Mine
as
was
much.
plain, but
That would have never happened with Gabe. Like, Gabe didn't even want to walk. Like, he's like, do I have to? And I'm like, okay, backing up, Gabe was a 2020 high school graduate. So it
There
was
was
a
no walk.
big deal to me. I'm like, oh no, you're walking across the stage. But he was like really funny about it.
Well, was there any grief for you, Holly? I know we talked about it.
You know,
just
it was
texting.
like, no, I posted on the Insiders page, like it was such a happy day. I never got sad. I was just so happy for Gabe, and
both of your graduates looked so cute and excited. I'm excited for the next chapter for them.
yeah.
yeah, I would say the big difference between high school and college is like high schools, and my kids went to a smaller private school here in Austin. So high school felt more like a family affair with the school, right? Like
Yeah.
I knew the teachers, I knew the administrators, I knew the coaches, I knew the other families. Like it was really like a family celebration. This was really more about Aislinn and her friends
Right.
and her experience. And so it really was just sort of a different vibe because it really was her experience there,
Yeah.
you know, and I wasn't really a part of,
Right.
You didn't know
of
it.
it.
Mhm.
I never met a professor or knew really
Right.
very much about
I'm going to meet all my children's professors.
Please don't do that.
Probably will, Whitney. It was really sweet because so we went did lunch after, and then more of my family came, like my nephews came, and two of Gabe's best friends that he's known since kindergarten
Aw.
came. It was really sweet. It was just neat to see them like come that far
Yeah.
together.
And Aislinn had a great 4 years. I mean, she loved her time there. And she also started a little bit in COVID, wasn't necessarily wanting to go to school in her backyard where she grew up, and ended up just having an amazing time.
Yeah.
Well,
so
my
happy for
my
her.
kid is going to be a junior. He just finished his sophomore year at OU, and one of my kids, and he came home and he was like, "I'm sad. I was sad to leave my fraternity," because he lived at the fraternity house. I'm like, "I'm sure you were sad to leave that." Now he's treating my house like a fraternity house, which is an issue, but. He is very aware that time is moving quickly.
He said that to me when I walked in tonight. I was like, hey, congrats on finishing another year.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it goes by fast.
He was hanging on to, oh, I'm sad that what just happened is over,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh.
And that made me a little bit sad for him.
But that's such a good thing. I mean, I kind of have the opposite with Zach. Like this morning, I called him before he left and I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, I've been crying for 2 hours.
Oh,
And I'm sorry if I wasted a lot of your money this year. And he had
Oh, sweet.
a challenging freshman year being in another state. He is going back next fall, but it wasn't your dreamy
yeah.
freshman year.
And it isn't always, and every kid is different. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a good thing to talk about just for a moment, because I know plenty of kids, the college experience is built up on this like pedestal, and it maybe isn't the best years of their life, or there's a rocky start, or there's a transition, just like anything else in life,
Yeah.
you know? And that's all.
That
normal.
is my advice too, because he has this coach that he works with. She's like, I talk about expectations because your parents are like, oh, college was the best time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these kids, including mine, went in to an out-of-state college where he knew no one. And it was hard. And he's like, thinking this is going to be the best time in my life.
Time in my life, yeah.
He did. No, don't get me wrong. He had a lot of fun. Like he loves Colorado, but the school part
And making friends, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's not the same as it was. And I hate to be like an old person going back in my day, but the truth is,
We didn't have no iPhone.
but we had Xerox machines and There was no mahjong. And
Keira
rubbers.
still has her Xerox.
Kira's still living in the good old days.
Still Xeroxing things.
Xerox and rubbers.
But, you know, it's harder for our kids, I think, than it was for us to meet people. You know, I love that you brought it up, Holly, because, and this is a good life lesson for all of us, I think. The expectations can torture you. Anybody's life. I know I have it, like, especially with vacations and travel. I always think it's going to be the best trip ever. And then I get
you just have to
cussed
go
out
with
at
me.
the Louvre. Yeah. Or I just have to go with Holly. And actually, I have to go without children. And then it's a great vacation.
It's always amazing with children.
Yeah. But you want to create,
Sorry, guys. We love you.
You want to create these moments, especially because your family has been disrupted. You're trying
everything
to
to be perfect.
Yeah, these family moments to be perfect. And even graduation, you build it up and you want it to be perfect for them. And you want to say the perfect thing. Like Keira was struggling with, you know, what would Frank say in this moment? And, you know, that puts a lot of pressure on us.
Oh, yeah.
too.
I mean, I wouldn't even try to go there. There's no way I could
what I
ever.
definitely did this year, though, which really helped, is I just kept it really low key. Really low key. I mean, I didn't fuss about any of it.
Yeah.
I didn't fuss about, I mean, if you're having graduation in your hometown, it's easy. I didn't fuss about reservations or having the gift in that moment. I'm like, you know, here's your 4 years of college and a study abroad. Like, happy graduation.
Right.
Here you
and
go.
the car and other things that you've received. I somehow found a way around my usual overthinking and over obsessing.
It makes everything so much better.
And it was I just really didn't care. Like for the party we had, it was like, you know.
It was great though. It was all
beers
your
in a
friends.
cooler and pizza ordered and super low key. And a lot of people were out of town. You know, some people came, some people didn't come. There wasn't any hand wringing over like who was there, who wasn't there,
Right.
who like left early and went to another grad party. You know, I just didn't give a fuck.
Right.
And as long as Aislinn was happy, and that was what was so great about it. All I had to focus on was, you know, she was really caught up in coordinating with her friends and walking over together and getting in the fountain at 3 a.m. or whatever they do. And UT fountain, it's a tradition. They all jump in.
That's funny.
Anyway, so all the things just fell by the wayside because for whatever reason, I just wasn't that caught up in it.
Yeah. What do you think? What kept you from
I think it's age.
being so, you're tired. You're just tired.
It's just my 50s and maybe just the time. I'm sure the time since Frank died being longer than, you know, some of our listeners and some of our widows that are early, it's not as easy to compartmentalize when it's so new and fresh. I think I've just gone through a lot of these occasions now. I've just like anything, you kind of get practiced at it and it just doesn't become that big of a deal. And it's also like, well, what can go wrong? You know, I will say this. I did check in with her at one point, like, you are graduating, right? Like you,
I said the same thing.
I haven't even looked at your grades and you completed all your coursework and you're walking the stage and you're getting a diploma. I mean, you have to have these conversations like on the fly.
Right.
She was super busy with 2 jobs and finishing the semester. And she was like, yes, Mom. And then I would get these emails from the school, like, did you buy graduation tickets? And did you, you know, submit for graduation, I guess. You have to kind of make sure you've like applied for graduation. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I did have a funny conversation with her around that where I was just like, this is all lined up, right? And she's like, yes, Mom.
Did she get her own and did Gabe get their own, like their cap and gown and stuff?
Oh,
like,
yeah. She did everything. She had to get the stole and the cords. And
I kept asking, like, did you get your cap and gown? And he's like, I have not gotten the email yet. It's not time yet. And then, of course, they send the email to the parents. And
right.
He was, I think, on spring break. So I was like, I'm just going to, well, he got it too. I was like, I'll just order it. Abe would have, but same kind of conversations. Like literally the week before, I was like, so do you know what time you have to be at the ceremony? Like, and he's like, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I'm meeting with my advisor this week. And I was like, it's like in 5 days. Like,
oh, that's funny.
It all worked out.
Again, this is for someone whose daughter graduated in our town down the street. I think I've talked to a lot of parents who are navigating the out of town, like you had to do, Holly. And it's a lot trickier because, I have some dear friends going to Brown next weekend and they had to get a house. Yeah. They have a big family. The house cost a fortune. Then you're trying to feed all these people.
That's when that's why I stepped out. I was like, I'm going on Friday. I'm getting a hotel room for Zach and I.
Everyone else figured it out for
Here's the map of the parking and where, where the event is. And I'm out. Because I didn't want to take that on.
And I think it's one thing that you do learn as a widow as the years go by. You have to delegate and you cannot control all the other adults. You just can't as a single parent or, no partner helping you coordinate. You have to kind of focus on the most important thing, which is you and your child who's graduating and probably your aging parents. And the rest is just everyone else can figure it out, Right.
I love when we think of it in widow terms and what you've learned. And so one of the things that I was thinking to ask you both is thinking back to, sadly, when these kids lost their dads at very young ages. How old was Aislinn?
11.
And Gabe
was 14.
And being so fearful, right, of what's going to happen to them. How are they going to survive this? And now fast forwarding to their graduating, I'm getting teary, graduating from college.
Like chills.
No. What kind would you whisper to yourself back then?
I guess it's not going to be easy getting there, but you will get there. And it might not look exactly as you thought it was going to, but they're going to be fine on whatever path.
Well, and I also feel like everything that you think about, you think they're feeling some way, they're not necessarily feeling
the way
you think they're feeling.
Right. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. You're projecting on them.
How are they going to survive without a dad? And
right.
On the episode when they were on it,
I think Aislinn even said it hasn't been as big a part of my life as I think other people have foisted it on me as this huge part of my story.
It kind of makes me sad. I think this is the balance of and yes, all of our kids have said, I don't know what my life would have been like had my dad lived, but I like my life.
Right.
And in a way, and I think especially for the widows whose husbands died when their children were very young, so they don't have the memories or the influence, it can be sad for the widow to think, oh, their dad is not as big of a presence as I would have liked for him to be. But what would we want? We certainly don't want them crying and devastated their entire lives because they lost their dad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Did I finish
it's a balance of holding his memory, but also doing what he would want, which is getting on and having a successful life.
Right.
Even though he's not here.
Okay. Can we talk about?
No. Let's talk about
the tattoo.
Oh, yes. And did you mention the shoes? Because I had to step away for a second. Did you?
I didn't mention the shoes.
So talk about what Gabe did. Yeah.
Well, I went up a few weeks before graduation and my nephew and his fiance took senior photos of Gabe. And of course I went shopping and bought him a bunch of clothes, including shoes. He didn't wear any of it. He didn't wear any of it. He's like, I know what I want to wear. I already have.
You bought.
I'm wearing my suit pants and my button down and my shoes that I always wear to formals. Well, they're Toby's shoes.
Aww.
And they were brand new when Gabe got them, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When he got his suit, and I was like, oh, I have Dad's shoes. Now they look very well.
They've been like sloshing around the frats
Right.
for 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I love that he
That's
walked
awesome.
the stage in Toby's shoes.
Yes. So
That's pretty
he was like,
amazing.
I'm wearing these shoes. I don't need new shoes. I mean, he's so much like his dad. Yes, he wore his dad's shoes
That's
when he
awesome.
walked across the stage because those
love
are his
that
only
so
dress
much.
shoes. He does not want any new
Well,
ones.
I wonder if you can, I don't know the right word, refurbish, or like when they start to get really run down, can you like
oh, I'm
spruce
sure
them
you
back up?
can.
Oh, yes, the right cobbler. Am I allowed to use that term?
Oh, shit.
That is such an East Coast thing.
It's such a New York
My
thing.
cobbler.
I used to have these boots I wore in New York that my prized boots, and every time I
They're
took them
really,
to like the cobbler, they came back brand new. They would like resole them.
Oh, wow.
And then I moved to Austin and took them to like the shoe hospital, and they were
Oh,
like,
shit.
"Oh no, these are going in the dumpster." And I was like, "No, why can't you save them?"
Finish your story about how Gabe was involved in
The tattoo,
bringing his dad in. Yeah.
Okay, so
The tattoo, the tattoo, the plane.
no, just no.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Well, his
so
name was Tattoo. That's right.
a few weekends ago,
She's pointing in the sky, listeners. She's pointing.
Gabe and I went up to Colorado to see Zach, and I met him in the airport in DFW, and he's like, "I have something to show you," and I was like, "Okay," and he's like, "I got a tattoo," and I was like, "Oh." I didn't. I didn't
no.
say that. I didn't say that. Let me back up. I'm thinking to myself, "Oh shit! Like,
Yeah.
what'd you get, and
Right, a frog.
where is
A
it?"
purple
Then,
frog
you know,
for
like,
TCU.
no, he would never do that in a million
Isn't
years.
it a horned frog?
It is.
So
Thank God.
he's like, "Well, I want to tell you the story before I show you." So two of his good friends that he met they're TCU students in his same school of study. That
It's film, right?
Film.
yeah.
You can say that, it's allowed.
Well, I don't know if they're
His
okay. Cut that part out. Backing up.
Why is she avoiding saying filmmaking?
form
Well, I
of
don't know that they're
study.
necessarily film. I don't know if
Close
they're
enough.
whatever.
what is-
So Gabe says he wants to tell me the story. So he has these two good friends that he met that are in the film school at TCU with him, but they met in Ireland on their study abroad, and they became good friends there. They both lost a parent as well.
Oh, wow.
And one of the guys' dad was a pilot, and then his friend Lily,
And did he die in a plane crash?
I don't know how he died.
That's so interesting because I was thinking it and I was going to make a joke and then I just kept quiet. But I was thinking the same thing. Like,
I don't know. I can't remember if Gabe told me
I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure it was like,
how he died. I don't
doesn't
remember
matter.
how he died, or I don't know if Gabe told me. But I do know that
he's
Lily's mom died of cancer like a year ago.
dead.
And so he's like, we've been talking about this for a long time, and we all went and got tattoos together.
That's awesome.
I love it.
So
to
Gabe,
honor their fathers.
yes. And so Gabe got, Toby was a graphic designer, and Gabe got his logo.
I love
I'll
it.
show you.
We need to post it on the
Yeah.
website
Did you
and on
never
Instagram.
post it? I felt like, yeah, it's so great.
No, I hadn't, because I hadn't even told Keira.
And then what did the other two kids get for their dads?
The pilot wings,
Yeah.
and the Lily's mom's her heart rate, her heartbeat.
Oh, that
Wow.
that kills me.
Intense. That is such a cool logo.
Isn't that great? We'll post it on our socials so that you guys can see.
But yeah, it was really sweet, and of course, I got tearey-eyed.
Oh
and
my
So
gosh.
you cried, I would assume,
Yeah.
in that moment.
Yeah.
I asked, did you immediately run out and get the same tattoo? Like I don't want to get it. I'd be like, well,
No, because she has hers.
yeah, I love your tattoo. He had such pretty handwriting. Hunter is like,
Frank's is.
I like it.
no, look at the E.
Frank's
It's like
is all
off
cap.
to the side. You see
Oh,
that?
but that
It's
makes
like
it unique.
sweetie E. I wish I would have chosen a different one, but oh well, it's forever.
Can I tell a funny tattoo story, which we can cut out later? But
it's
my
sweetie.
dear friend Michael, who is like just one of my favorite people in the world, he he would come and visit me quite a bit in the hospital. He's one of those people that would work a long day and then would come and make time to come see me. I was in the hospital for almost 3 months, for those of you that are listening. And then I was in a rehab thing, and then I couldn't walk even when I got home. But anyway, so having visitors was pretty exciting. And he made the time to visit me. And he even did my hair in the hospital, which I think I've told this story.
I don't remember.
About how my hair, so I had super, super long hair at the time of the accident. And then
Wow.
We're gonna need a photo
when the
of that.
accident
I need a
happened,
photo.
I guess it was covered in like iodine and maybe some blood and maybe some.
Did you have surgeries on your head? On your like skull?
Yeah, my face.
Your face.
Your face, but in your hair.
Not my skull, but I just know from others that when they saw me in the ICU and things,
It wasn't
I didn't
good.
mean to take a gruesome turn, but
We do it all here on every.
It's a tattoo
called
story.
Every widow.
it's a tattoo story. Anyway, Michael ultimately did my hair. He ended up cutting it all off and washing it.
Aw, in the hospital.
In the hospital.
That's so
and I had
sweet.
to they had to wash it. I couldn't move. I was not able to walk and things. So they had to kind of wheel me over to like this utility closet.
Oh my
But just to have your
gosh.
hair washed. Like this is
Yes.
a sweet friend who.
Yes, that's very intimate too for someone to
Yes.
wash your hair.
And only Michael, I think I would have been comfortable with it. I mean, initially, one of my best friends, Aislyn's godmother, actually from DC, showed up and was like, it needs to be braided because it was just like such a hot mess, I guess, when I was in the ICU. She talked to the nurses and was like, we need some braids or something. This needs to be like handled. And then later on, after multiple other surgeries, and once I was on the more intermediate floor, Michael came, washed it, and did this really cute bob.
Is he a hairdresser or
Yes,
does he?
he's a
Okay, I was about to say I would trust many men.
So long
with
story
that,
short,
yeah.
Michael, I saw him today. He and his husband recently, they've been together like 30 years. They recently went and got matching tattoos, and his husband is Latin. So like his tattoo came out like beautifully. It's like on the inner arm.
Yes.
And then Michael is fair like me, and his was like a little blurry. And we were just joking about it today in the salon because he's like, yeah, so mine didn't turn out great. And the tattooist, I was like, did the tattoo guy, like, because it's the exact same tattoo.
Right.
Did he have like a few drinks between like Sergio and you? And he's like, it's just my skin, babe.
That's so funny.
Oh, man.
It's old and it's like, not as, it's soft, I guess, is what the guy said.
Yeah, it's
soft
getting-
skin. And I was like, that's good for cuddling.
Oh, shit.
But I was like, me too. I have soft skin.
Do
Like,
you have a tattoo?
I don't have any because I have soft skin. I have
I
deep
think
Irish
we need
skin.
to fix that.
And
I do too.
My skin just doesn't like, I mean, my
Whatever, dude.
scars-
I have
Oh,
the
come
same.
on.
I have the same skin as you.
It's not good tattoo skin, is all I'm saying.
Well, it
the one
didn't
thing I
stop
told
me.
my son, who's fair and a ginger, never can the ginger get a tattoo. Never.
Dude, I'm ginger. I've got one.
Gabe is fair.
No.
I'm fair.
You just don't want him to get a.
He just can't.
His face is too sweet for a tattoo.
Skin just isn't there.
Are you
for
saying
it.
my kid's face is not too
No,
sweet?
but
That's
it's
just
too
my-
late for him.
that's
He's
just
already
my
got one. Oh,
But I love that Gabe did that. And it's so creative.
Well, I love the story.
And it's so
that he
specific
went-
to Toby.
But what surprised me about it is thinking back to a few years before, he was living like his freshman and sophomore year, he's living with friends that he'd never told
Yeah.
that his dad died.
right.
And he's like, why would I tell him? And now he has these friends.
Whose dad's died?
Yeah.
And a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
does.
like,
I think it's so
I want to know how
fascinating.
it came up. I need
was
to
at
ask him.
Thomas's frat formal, and he's now a sophomore too. And it was
Oh,
like
it's
a couple guys came up. I mean, they were drinking, obviously, and they were older, and they were like, or some of them maybe were his year. Just, they find the mom and they give the drunken speech about
Yeah.
how amazing your son is.
yeah.
And your son he's the best dude. And when I was having a hard time and he found me. I mean, just sweet
Yeah,
things
so
that
sweet.
they came up and told me, a few of them. And I just said something like, well, I think, because he lost his dad, he has a lot of empathy. And they're like, what?
It was a record scratch.
His dad? I mean, they're looking at Brendan and I'm like, that's not
the dad. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy
because
how
they don't
few people
say
they
anything.
tell.
They don't say anything.
Reveal it very often,
I would-
especially the boys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I think I asked Gabe about it, and this was a while back, and he's like, "What am I gonna walk around and say my dad died?"
And I'm like, yes, exactly.
Oh, that's what food's here. And on that note,
Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna switch gears here.
Okay, you can do that.
I'm gonna do a gear switch.
Okay.
We are now moving into year 3 of Every Widow Thing. And this is episode 50, which I think is a big deal.
It's a
Because when
huge
you
deal.
turn
50 episodes.
It's a big deal. I would love to hear, because obviously I came from the background of radio and entertainment. But when I first pitched this, and by the way, everyone was gung-ho. Like everybody said, yes, let's do it. But you didn't really know what you were getting into. And so I would love to talk a little bit about where you were year 1 on the podcast versus where you are stepping into year 3. What do you think about this journey? I mean, going back and revisiting, especially for like you, Keira, you were a little farther along than Holly and I, and having to go back and revisit early times, talk about things that maybe you hadn't talked about before. And Holly, you don't have widow's Tourette's. So it's not like you were sharing a lot with other people either. So having to bare your souls.
Well, obviously, it was really hard for me to talk on a microphone. Well, I think it was harder, like seeing back when we did the video. That was
hard.
Intimidating.
Yeah.
And listening to the early episodes,
Nobody wanted to put makeup on and dress cute and do their hair.
But what you've realized now is
you're
nobody
scrambling
cares.
around as a widow, and you're like, I had to drop off kids, and I had to walk the dog, and I had to work out, and then I have to go shower and look cute for my podcast,
right? And talk about death.
I
and
felt
grief.
like that was a lot. I'm like, oh, I gotta wear makeup today.
Yeah.
Going back to thinking about the beginning, it was draining and healing, and like going back and like telling our stories.
I think that's a perfect way of saying it.
Because I'd never really sat down and told, the whole story. And I always had this weird, or in the early days, I was like, I want to go on the news and tell the story so everybody knows he was killed by a drunk driver, And because, that wasn't like out there in the beginning because we had to wait for the toxicology report that took 3 months.
Same with us. It was literally like his family was telling lies online that he had a flat tire or something.
Oh wow.
And then we had to wait for the toxicology, and it was awful. Yeah.
But so yeah, to answer your question, and okay.
Yeah, it's hard, and and it is draining. It's even for me, for somebody who loves to talk about it, having to talk about it consistently and come up with, for me especially, like I want to end on a positive note. I want to have a spin that makes people feel hopeful. Yeah. Even when there were many moments where and I know y'all don't believe it, but where I didn't always feel hopeful. And even not to depress people, but even 7 years in, just there have been days recently where I'm on my couch, like getting teary of like, this is my life now. And this is not, and by the way, my life is great and I'm very blessed, but it is not the life that I thought I was signing up for. And there are moments where I miss the person that I thought I was going to spend my entire life with. That does not take away from the people that are in my life now, but it is different. And especially when you have children, you want that person that is half of your children. And
I think to that point, I miss that so much. Like I miss having the other person that remembers. Remember that time we took that trip to Florida with the kids and like Thomas did this, or, it's just having that other historian almost to your story. Yeah. Remembering when the kids were little, remembering like just like the births and things like that. Yeah. Frank is the only other person that was there with me. Yeah. So yeah, it's a loss that reverberates through the lifetime for sure. When, that moment that you choose to marry or even just have a child with someone, everything from then forward, you want them to be a part of. And when that's taken away, it's really, really hard. So I really felt like, for me, I had revisited the trauma some in therapy, obviously. And my trauma was just obviously compounded. I mean, I was injured. My daughter was injured. We nearly died. It was years of, surgeries and physical therapy. I grieved other things too. I grieved, what had happened to my body. I grieved what had happened to Karis. The future. I still grieve that.
Yeah.
What was taken from her in terms of her injuries and her disabilities. There was so much grief that it's just too much to process all at once. And I was really trying hard to move on. So then when we did the podcast, it was like, let's tell a bunch of people. And I'm really not.
Let's tell everyone.
I'm really pretty private. I actually got off, after the accident happened and the whole town knew that we were just taken out on the freeway by a drunk driver. I just went off Facebook and didn't, I just hid away. And, my close friends who were with me in the hospital when I was on a lot of Dilaudid had a lot of fantasies about moving away to places where nobody knew me and nobody knew what had happened to our family. So I had a lot of escapism there. But so doing the podcast was uncomfortable in terms of revisiting a lot of that pain and a lot of that trauma. But at the end of the day, like I said, we got all the way to that meet and greet, and I met some people that were like, you've really helped me. And that kind of turned it around. It just felt very real at that point. Oh, maybe we are helping some people.
Yeah.
Maybe we're filling a need. I mean, I remember the whole reason I wanted to get involved and start this was when it happened to me, I couldn't find there was no one I could turn to.
You just wanted to hear someone's story and
know
hear that they're okay.
Yeah.
I was so young and I had such young kids. And the widow groups I looked at were aging people and cancer survivors, and there's no cancer loss and hospice and nothing. That's very much a part of, being a widow. Lots of cancer widows out there, but that wasn't my story. Mine was this violent car wreck. So, and my daughter was involved and I was involved. So there was just nothing out there for me. And,
so
it's
anyway,
all hard. It's all equally hard.
It's all hard.
But
and you
back
can't
to
compare.
the podcast journey, it was sort of well, how can we fill a need? How can we serve? How can we fill a void that wasn't there for
we didn't
for
have.
us?
Yeah.
Right.
And then we found it in the four of us here in town and thought we should share it. I mean, we found this little group by the worst circumstances ever, but we at least had each other. And then we thought, well, we'll just see if we can start talking about it and reach others.
I wanted to be around people that I wanted to smile. I mean, I was like, I don't want to go to one of the grief groups where you're sitting in a circle and people are crying.
Yeah, I want to feel
not to
better when I
be
leave.
insensitive.
Right.
I mean, that sounds really selfish, but I wanted to smile. Yeah.
And what can we share with our listeners? That was really the thing. It was let's just share some of the lightheartedness, some of just the goofy, funny, the laughing and the trauma and the humor that pulled us through, and then all the shit that goes on with this horrible, horrible thing that's happened. Humor just gets us through so much.
Yes.
And it's not because it doesn't matter or it's not sad. It's just we're human and we need a balance.
Right.
We can't
Right.
just
Yeah.
be down all the time.
Yeah.
We have to help lift each other up.
Yes.
It's okay to laugh. It's okay to have a girls' weekend. It's okay to have a crush on someone new. It's okay to, start a new job. It's okay to live your life.
It's okay to move. It's okay to keep his stuff. It's okay to
clean out the
let
closet.
go of his stuff.
It is. It's
Sell
okay
the
to
suits.
Yeah, sell the suits,
The
keep
suit.
shoes,
The suit.
the one suit.
Sell some stuff that's like moldy. I got back a bunch of Frank's stuff that had been in a dear friend's storage closet. A lot of it was like damaged, and some of it was salvageable, but it was okay. It was like, all right, this is going to be easy. This is like moldy and stained. And
life is telling you it's time to let go of that because it's covered in mold.
And, we were talking about shoes earlier, and I was just telling them that like my son, my only son, has an enormous foot. He's like a 13. And my husband was like only like an 11. So the Prada loafers that Thomas is trying to cram his giant foot into, those can be donated to someone else.
That's not going to work out.
And at the end of the day, it's just things.
Yeah, it's just things.
stuff.
That's the hard part.
Really the same as the stories and the memories. Even if you're dating or remarried or have a new partner, it's like we still talk about Frank. Brendan talks about Frank. I mean, Brendan will be like, thank you, Frank, for letting me enjoy your kids and be here for, your wife. And
your late wife. Oh, shit.
Your current wife. Wait, what? Okay, we're editing that out.
Okay. Do I have to? Because
No, I think we leave that in there. It's funny.
This is good. This is gonna go down as a Xerox moment. But no, like he's a good sport about it, and he actually gets it. Like this is Frank's life that he gets to step into.
Yeah, we have talked for a long time.
That's another episode.
We're gonna take the summer,
like we always do. We take the summer to be with our kids and
each other,
the podcast
and go to Bruno Mars,
potentially Bruno Mars,
possibly Vegas. But we are looking forward to a new chapter in this widowhood.
And message us.
Yeah,
like if
let
you
us know
have
what you want.
Yeah,
Like,
tell us what you want.
join our insiders group. It's a Facebook group called Every Widow Thing Insiders. We would love to, that's really where we can talk to you more directly, but feel free to DM us on Instagram or even email us at everywidowthing@gmail.com.
Let us know what topics you would like covered. So if there's something that you're like needing to hear more about, or you have a query about something in your life that we might be able to help with, we would love to. I'm an English major over here. We would love to address it.
Query
I'm
with
sorry.
their Xerox.
I had to make fun of you right then, but I love your
Wait, what was the shoe guy? The shoe
cobbler?
thing? Cobbler.
Yeah, get a cobbler.
Yeah, listen.
Find
one thing,
a cobbler.
if you take nothing away from this episode, get yourself a fucking cobbler.
Get yourself a good cobbler. I mean, they're hard to come by.
Or eat a cobbler.
Yeah, or make a cobbler.
A peach cobbler.
Gluten-free for me. They're delicious.
On that note, we love you. Thank you for staying with us. We don't know what the next season's going to look like.
Episodes
Yeah, thank you for listening to us for
grateful.
50 episodes.
That's a lot of episodes.
That's a lot. Well, they maybe haven't listened to all of them, but
What?
hopefully.
If you haven't listened to all of them, then go back and listen to all of them.
They're so good.
Follow us.
So good.
Like us. Do all the things. Subscribe.
Yes.
All those things.
All of them.
And get your cobbler.
Bye for now.
And cobbler. Good day.
Good day.